Okay, hopefully you guys can hear, and I'm hoping that I'm on time because I'm usually late. So, that being said, let me log in to the my account to be able to see what's going on. All right, what is going on? Hmm. Hoping that this is working. Not sure if I'm having difficulties. Looks like I'm live. Yep. Okay, let me know if you guys can hear. I'm having trouble on my end. I'm trying to see the chat. That way I can read along the comments. Come on. Why won't this thing show up? Mm-mm. All right, guys. Hopefully you guys can see me. I can't see where I'm at. So bear with me, guys. Trying to get my live stream up, but I'm not having any luck. Not sure what's going on. Let's see. Bear with me, guys. Having difficulties, as always. It's not one thing, it's another. Okay. Let's see. I think YouTube needs an update on this tablet. It is 6:03. So, actually, you know what? I think it should be okay. Hmm. Why won't this let me see my channel? Come on. I cannot see, guys. Okay, well, we're going to just have to leave it at that. And hold on. Let's see if I can find myself here. Possibly online. Nope. What is going on? Okay. Well, yeah, we're going to leave it at that, guys. Let me see if I can see the chat. So, yes, we have about 14, 15 people here in the chat. So, thank you guys for tuning in. Let's see, what do we got? Hello to, sorry about that, guys. Hello to Rick, Cynthia, Granny Graham, good to see you. Who else do we have in here? Jimmy Langford, good to see you as well. Spa McCount, good to see you. Fuzzy T Fork, Wyoming Yeti, good to see you. Jimmy Langford, I think I already mentioned. Corey Clark, good to see everybody. So, all right, we are just going to we're just gonna get started, and we're gonna do a very simple um, artisan style bread or just country loaf. Okay, and I'm gonna be showcasing what you need. I mean, it's very basic. Obviously, I have a lot of stuff with me, but that's because obviously I've accumulated a lot of bread baking tools that I find useful. But that being said, let's get into this. What I do recommend is a bowl. I would say something like this. Not, I mean, this doesn't transfer either heat or cold as much as metal bowls. Plastic ones are fine as well. Something that's not conductive. So metal, any kind of metal is conductive, and you don't want too much transfer of either cold or heat, especially if you're leaving it on your counters and your counters are a stone. That's gonna affect your bread, especially when it comes to sourdough baking. But since this is a artisan bread, this is I'm using commercial yeast, so I'm not using sourdough starter. And obviously, it'll be different here. You don't have to be so precise with commercial yeast. So anyway, a bowl at least 5 to 6 quarts, I would say, is a good size. Like I said, I prefer the stone bowls. The other tool that I think we'll need is a measuring cup. This one here is a 2 cup capacity. You can go with something bigger, but I think the 2 cup is a good size for beginner bakers. The next thing is just, dry yeast. Um, any brand, I don't really have a preference. It's commercial yeast. It all works really well. So make sure it's not bread machine yeast unless you're in a rush. That doesn't necessarily need any kind of long fermentation. That just ferments super quickly and it dissolves a lot easier. And that's, you kind of skip steps on that one. And if you're in a rush, then that one, the bread machine yeast is good. Otherwise, I would just say normal active dry yeast. So that's one. The other is a good scoop, or if not, just a large spoon. But these scoops come in handy, especially when you're pushing in or putting in large quantities of flour. Not necessary, obviously. You can just pour from the bag or wherever you have it stored, like I do. I have it in a container. So I like putting these in a container because flour tends to get everywhere, and I prefer just having it stored in something where it's not going to get everywhere. And I can't recall. I think I might have bought these at Walmart or possibly. I think it might have been Rayleigh's Bel Air. Um, so yes, you guys can find, and I think these are marketed for cereal or pasta, but I like using it because it actually you can put an entire bag into these and it seals really well. So I like this a lot, and I used it for that. So one of these containers, obviously you don't need it, but the other thing that I do want to mention is that with the flour, I do recommend bread flour. You can use whole wheat and specialty flours, but I think bread flour is going to be the best when it comes to making sandwich bread or artisan style bread. Um, it has a higher protein content, so I do recommend that. The other flours are not as not as high. I mean, it's not that much. The percentages are like by 2 or 3% of protein content, but there is a difference. This gives you a better crumb or crust, and the standard all-purpose flour doesn't really. It's a softer bread, so it won't have any crust, and sometimes it won't hold its shape. So when you're slicing the bread, sometimes it'll just all fall apart instead of staying together. That's why I do recommend that you do use bread flour. I haven't tested any other flours like almond flour or anything of that nature, so I wouldn't know. I can't give you tips on that. But like I said, for this recipe, I like using bread flour. And a whisk, I like using this whisk. This is from Allclad. And you guys can pick this up at William and Sonoma or online. Allclad, not sponsored or anything like that, but this probably has to be one of the easiest whisks to use. And on top of that, it's easy to clean. So I like this one a lot. And if you guys don't want to be washing these all the time, you can just throw them in the dishwasher because it is also dishwasher safe. So there's a plus on that one. Um, a specialty item here, you don't really need it, but it does come in handy, and I'll show you guys why. But a Danish dough whisk or a dough whisk, these are awesome. These will prevent your dough from becoming this huge clump of mess, which you'll see in a minute. I'll show you guys what I mean by that. We're gonna need some salt. I like using this one here. Whoops. I like using the kosher salt, coarse. A lot of people like using fine, but I feel like the fine salt tends to be a bit more saltier because there's less, smaller granules. And sometimes you might. So if the recipe calls for 10 grams of salt and you do 10 grams of table salt, it could be a bit saltier. So I recommend this. This isn't as salty as table salt, and this still tastes great in the bread. And the next thing that we'll need is going to be teaspoons. Now, this is preference and more of a specialty, but a scale comes in handy as well. I like weighing all my stuff out. I do not measure in cups, but I'll give you guys measurements in cups as well. But I tend to use the scale. I found it to be easier. I don't have to fuss with the cups, and I like that better. So with that being said, those are basically the things that we need. I mean, we can exclude maybe a third of these things, but either way, very simple, and it's going to be fast and easy. But hopefully, let me see. I'm going to try once again to see if I can get the stream up because I can't see anything, and I feel like I'm out in the dark, and I need something to see. Hopefully, I can bring up my channel. It says I'm live, but why can't I see myself? Using adult restricted mode enabled. To view this video, you need to disable restricted mode. What? Additional settings. Huh. Bear with me, guys. I'm trying to get this situated. My wife has her tablet, and I guess it's in restricted mode, which I didn't know that. So bear with me. I'm trying to fix this because I don't have my own tablet today. So bear with me. General, there we are. Restricted mode. Oh yeah, let's turn that off. No wonder I couldn't see anything live. All right, so that should work now. And let's see. Go back to my subscriptions. Sorry about that, guys. Or subscriptions, my channel. Once again, let's see if this thing worked. Oh yeah, there we are. Okay. Sorry, now I can finally see and I can see the chat. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Guys, hit the like button. Thank you, Fuzzy T Fork. Rick says, I bet the Danish dough whisk didn't sound like a mosquito. No, I hope not. Oh, hello, Honey Badger. Good to see you. Cast Iron Chaos, at the very least, weigh the flour. Yes, I think weighing in the ingredients is the best way to go, especially when it comes to these recipes. It's the best thing you can do. So, yes, let's see who else is in here. Who else do we have? I think it was on the attack last night. Okay. Well, now I can see myself, so I'm grateful that I'm not out in the dark anymore, and I can see your guys' chat and what's going on here. Luis, the sound is low. Is it? Is it still low? Maybe I should move the mic. I bought these mics and they're not that great. I'll be honest, they're terrible. Don't buy these mics. I forgot. I think it was Amazon. I wouldn't recommend them. Probably better to get something else. Can you guys hear me a little bit better? Let me know. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Like I said, I'm gonna be using a scale, and I'm gonna be giving you guys the recipe here in a moment. Okay, so we're gonna place that on there, and it's already basically zeroed out. And what am I gonna grab? I needed something, and I forgot. I can't recall. No, anyway. So for this recipe, we're going to need, as I mentioned, bread flour, and we're doing 450 grams or 3 3/4 cups of bread flour. Okay, guys? And I have the oven preheating already. Actually, bear with me. Let's not do that one yet. Let's actually fill up the water. So water, and there's a reason why I want to do the water before I do the flour. So we're gonna actually activate the yeast. We don't need to do that. We don't need to activate because I already have a loaf. Sorry, guys. It's a bit different when it comes to doing live than making a video. So I'm sure Cast Iron Chaos knows what I'm talking about. But uh, we're gonna get water and we're gonna measure that out first. Sorry. All right. So let's tear that, and we're gonna get water. Also, can you guys hear is the microphone working, or or is it still really hard to hear? Put my earpiece in, it gives, huh, I don't think it's working. Come on. I think if I get close to this, it should work. But, oh my goodness. It's not using my external mic. Let me see if I can. Okay, can you guys hear? I think what it's doing is it's, instead of using the microphone on the camera, it's using, I'm sorry, instead of using the microphone. Let's see. Yes, we can hear you now. Okay. My goodness, these mics, I don't know. I'm still thinking that it's using the audio from the camera or the microphone from the camera instead of using the one from the one that I have here. So I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to speak a bit louder. Let me know if I'm being too loud. You sound okay. Okay. Like I said, I'm going to be a bit louder. So anyway, we're going to add for water, and I'm using filtered water. You can use tap water if you want. That's not a big deal. When it comes to sourdough, you can't use tap water. It's recommended that you use filtered water. But anyway, we're gonna need 1.5 cups of warm water between 120 to 130 degrees. 130, that is way too high. Yeah, that recipe is wrong. 120 is very high as well. So I would say about 110 to 115. And you need 1.5 cups of water. Okay, so we're gonna weigh this out. And it's 360 grams for those of you that are gonna weigh it out. 360, we're getting close. Basically, that's it. Alrighty, I'm gonna microwave this real quick. Okay, I'm gonna let that go. All right, we got our yeast here. So I'll give you guys the list of ingredients that we're gonna need in a minute. Once that's basically done heating up in the microwave, I'll tell you guys all the measurements for the ingredients that we need. Cast Iron Chaos says, after last night, I've ordered a second Yeti stand mic to use with my live. Yes, I think I need to do that. I need to stop using these cheap mics. I need to upgrade. Hello to Caleb Mays, Corey Clark. I think you guys just tuned in. Jimmy Langford, I think. Jim F. If you guys have been here, thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Okay, that is done. Okay, and usually what they recommend is to break the tension in the water created by the microwave, because right now the water is basically scalding hot on the top and cold on the bottom. So you break the tension, supposedly, I don't know if that's true, by stirring. So there we are. That way when I place my yeast, it's not gonna basically burn from sitting on top of the water. Now, whether that's true or not, I have no idea, but that's what I've heard. All right, so we're gonna do, let's see, we're gonna put that there, tear that guy. What we're gonna do is add 1.5, I'm sorry, not 1.5, 2.25 teaspoons of instant yeast. So 2.25 or a packet. So there's two right there, which is basically 10 grams if you guys are gonna weigh it out. And then I got my quarter over here. And there we are. I feel like we're a little low. I'm gonna add a bit more. There we go. Okay. So 2.25 teaspoons of instant yeast. Okay. Now what we're gonna do is just stir it up, and I'm gonna check with the where is my, oh, silly me, I have my thermometer on me. We're gonna just check the temperature and stir with this as well. And if you guys are wondering why I'm not using this, it's because I'm going to use this to mix the flour, the dry ingredients. Okay, and I also needed to check the temperature. This one here, I microwaved it for about a minute, 102. That's decent enough. It just needs to be warm. Doesn't need to be 120, because that can burn, or 130. I think that can burn as well. That's too hot. So 110 to 100, that's a good temperature for your warm water. All right, so we got that. Next, what we're gonna do is zero out the scale once again, and we're gonna now incorporate the flour. Actually, I'm sorry, we're gonna add the water or the yeast mixture. And I'm gonna add a tiny tad of water, and I am using water from the tap. Maybe a little bit more. Get the remainder of that yeast. There we are. So there we have it. We've got our water, zero out the scale, and we're gonna need 450 grams or 3 3/4 cups of bread flour. Okay. So there we are. And once again, let me know if you guys can hear me or if I'm muffled or mute, because obviously I want you guys to be listening to me. And I did say 450, we're almost there. There we are. All right. Put that guy away, cover this one. So we got our water, we got our yeast, we got the flour. Now we're just missing one more thing, and that's going to be salt. And for that, we need 1 3/4 teaspoons of kosher salt, or 10 grams. So I'm going to weigh it in, 10 grams of salt. There we are. 10 grams of salt, 1 3/4 teaspoons of salt. Okay. And we are going to mix. I think I might have missed a step. Well, that is what it is at this point. I think you guys get the gist. Anyway, we're going to need the dough whisk right now, in the sense that it's going to make things easier to stir in. And if you guys don't have a dough whisk, obviously many of you probably do not, but if you do not, I would use the wooden part of the spoon, of a wooden spoon. Use that to mix it in, because it'll make cleanup so much easier. Believe me, it's going to be a big old clumpy mess and this helps out a lot. So here we are, and hopefully you guys can see some of this. So we're just going to mix it in. And the reason why I messed up is because I needed 2 bowls. One was for the dry, which I was supposed to fully incorporate by itself the salt and the flour, and give that a good stir to make sure that it's all distributed evenly, which I didn't do. And the reason why I didn't do that is because I wanted the water at the bottom to prevent, all that dry flour from being basically stuck on the bottom if I would have done it the other way. So if I would have had the flour first and mixed that and then poured in the water, it becomes more of a sticky mess, more of a jumbled mess. And I feel like it doesn't incorporate as well. So that's why I prefer doing the water first and then adding the flour. All right, and just so you guys can see, very, very sticky dough. And it's okay, don't worry about this. It's not a big deal. Believe me, you don't need it to be, perfectly. Your dough might be a bit dry or clumpy, and that's fine. And this is one of the reasons why I recommend the Danish whisk or the dough whisk. It's because it really does incorporate everything together really well. So, and cleaning is a breeze. All you got to do with clean hands, obviously, is remove the excess. And there's basically no big old mess stuck to any kind of whisk of this nature. Believe me, if I would have used something like this, it would have been a whole big old clumpy mess. And this, as messy as this might look, is not nearly as bad as using a piano whisk or one of those whisks. But there we are. And as I mentioned, very minimal dough left on that. That's fine with me. We're not going to get all crazy about it. We're going to leave that as it is. Now what we're going to do is we're going to let this rest, or basically we're going to let it ferment and the yeast do its thing for roughly 1 hour. After that, we're going to take it out, place it onto a working surface, and roll it into a dough ball, basically. And then from there, after the hour, when we're doing all the work on the bench or any work surface that you might have, we also at the same time need to preheat the oven along with a cooking vessel, whether it's a Dutch oven or whatever method that you like using. Make sure that you start preheating after the hour, because believe me, this is going to rise fairly quickly since we used warm water. Within the hour, this should be at least to the top. And if your yeast doesn't work or is dead or is old, then you won't see anything happening. But that's basically what we're looking for. As I mentioned, we're just going to cover this and let it do its thing for roughly 1 hour. Okay. Oh, actually, one more thing too. The other thing that I like using is this dough scraper here, and it's one of these silicone or plastic dough scrapers. So as you can see, I still have bits on the sides of this bowl. And what I like doing is just going in here and scraping down the bowl and incorporating all the little dry bits that are left on that side of that bowl. And believe me, it helps out. Also, it's my OCD kicking in, and I want the bowl to look a bit cleaner and not so messy. And there we are. And see, it kind of cleans up the bowl just a bit to where it's not so messy, as I said. But that's just the OCD tendencies that I have. Okay, and there we are. That's our dough. We're going to let it rise for 1 hour. Put that to the side. And here we have a dough that I've already mixed about 2 hours ago. So I'm hoping that it's still good because it did rise within the hour, and I didn't think about it. But I'm sure it's still gonna. I'm sure it's still gonna work just as good. So just so that you guys can see how much of a rise you should expect, I'm going to show you right now how much this one grew. So there's the dough, same quantity as the one we just mixed. So this one's ready to be shaped. So we're going to do that right now. And of course, I already have something preheating, my Dutch oven preheating in the oven. So that's already set to go. I just wanted to show you guys the steps. So now I'm going to show you guys how to do this part as well. Now they do recommend that you add a bit of flour to your working surface. In my opinion, it's up to you. If you don't feel comfortable with the stickiness of that, because it's going to be very, very sticky, then go ahead and do so. And for me, I most likely will add just so that, since we are on live, I don't want to risk it and make a big old mistake. Just because I think I'm a pro doesn't mean that I don't have mistakes. Okay. So yes, I can make a big old mess as well. So this was pointless because I didn't do what I wanted to do. Okay. So now this out of the way, and this stuff, I'm going to move some of these things. So bear with me, guys. Just so that I don't knock it over because I do need some space. Put my little napkins right here. All right. We're going to move these things over there. Okay, so what I like doing is clean work surface, right? What we're going to do is also sprinkle a tiny tad of bread flour on the top of this and a little bit on the working surface that we're going to use right here. Actually, one more thing that I need before I forget, we need a dough scraper. That's the other tool that we do need, or a bench scraper. This is going to work really well, and I'll show you guys what I mean by that in a minute. Let's see. I see all these artisans weighing everything grain of each ingredient, but commercial bakeries do they weigh all their mass production? I was under the impression they just dump 50-pound bags. I think so. I think bakeries that are mass producing, they already have everything preset. So all they got to do is just mix it all together. At least that's from what I know. All right. So like I said, sprinkling just a little bit on the top here. And we're also going to need this oval or moon-shaped dough scraper to kind of scrape the sides. So what I like to do is just kind of loosen it, free it from the bowl, and all I'm going to do is just push it down on its sides, and that helps out a lot. So you can see here now it's not much of a giant mess. And what we're going to do is now, with a little bit of flour, messing up, doing my best not to mess up. With a little bit of flour, we're also going to sprinkle on the counter and let this plop out. There we go. See, clean bowl. So that's that. All right. Now, in this manner, it's easier to work with the dough since we've sprinkled some on the top. And the easiest way to get this shaped would be to fold into thirds. So you fold one way, and then you fold another way, and then basically you move this around, and basically you just roll it. There we are. And from here, what I'm going to do is use this, and we're going to shape it into a ball. So this is where this comes in handy. Now, this is a bit sticky, I'll be honest, but as long as you don't have too much pressure on this dough ball, you're fine. But for those of you that are going to do it manually, or if you're going to do it by hands and not use this specialty tool, then I do recommend to add a bit of flour to your hands and then work on this. The only reason why I don't like doing the extra flour is because you're incorporating fresh flour into this, and you're not giving it much time to incorporate into the dough mass that you already have. So that's why I don't like adding too much flour, and just sprinkling just a tiny bit. But you can also work with your hands, but it's going to create a mess unless they are covered in flour. So I'm going to try my best here just to show off, I guess. Don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to try it by hand. And that's just by grabbing a little bit and then adding here a bit. And so what you want to do is basically with your hands is move it in this manner. I can't really explain, but I'm hoping that you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. And that's just to create a little bit of tension to this dough. And if you guys have done any kind of like Parker rolls or yeast rolls, this is a similar technique. Okay, so like I said, I think there we have enough tension. That should be enough. You don't want to tighten up this dough ball too much, because if you do, it starts to tear. You're tearing basically the gluten network that you've developed, and you don't want to do that. So don't overwork it too much, because then you'll, like I said, you'll start to see tears. And also you don't want to degas it too much, because you can see a bit of bubbles here that have formed on the top. You don't want to pop those bubbles, because basically that's what's going to give your crumb a more open, basically a more open structure than more dense, or not necessarily dense, but more tight or compact crumb. More like that you see on commercial sandwich bread. That's more of a compact crumb. It's not. It doesn't have the open structure that you see on artisan bread, or like ciabatta bread or things of that nature. So there we are. We're gonna let that rest for roughly, I want to say 20 minutes. But we also are gonna need some parchment paper. So I'm gonna grab some right now, and we're gonna transfer that onto a parchment paper, or a piece of parchment paper. And then we'll start baking in about 20 minutes. So, shoot, this is taking a bit longer than what I thought. Okay. Put this back. Don't want to lose it. Okay. Where is my dough scraper? Oh, here it is. And of course, I had to put soap on this thing. Okay. Dry this a bit. And there we are. Transfer the dough, and we're just going to let it rest here for 20 minutes. Now you can cover this with another piece of parchment paper if you'd like, or you can leave it like that. I think for me, we're just going to leave it as is. We're not going to fuss with it. And that's about it. So now that you guys saw a little bit of the technique that we need to be doing in order for us to form this this loaf of bread, I think you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm going to start kind of chit-chatting with you guys while we wait those 20 minutes. I don't think I'm going to wait the 20 minutes. I might just cut it a bit short, but normally you want to wait about 20 minutes. So to reiterate on the recipe, okay? So here we are. We're going to list everything that we just did, or the ingredients that we used as well. So 3 3/4 cups of bread flour divided. I don't think you need to divide it. It says here divided, but we're not going to divide anything since we're not adding other flours. I didn't add any of whole wheat or almond flour or buckwheat or anything of that nature, any specialty flours. So you don't need to divide anything, but 3 3/4 cups of bread flour or 450 grams of flour, 2 1/4 teaspoons of instant yeast, 1 3/4 teaspoons of kosher salt, and I do recommend kosher salt, or 10 grams, 1 1/2 cups of warm water between 105 to 110. 15 is probably the highest I recommend. So 105 to 115 is a good temperature for your water. And you can use tap water if you like. You can use filtered water. It's whatever you prefer. So obviously you guys saw in a large bowl where we mixed the flour, yeast, and salt. Then we added the water, mixed it, and now we're letting that basically do its thing. I haven't covered it yet, which I probably should. We're going to let that do its thing, and obviously then we get to this step. And this step is after an hour or so, we start shaping it. We call this a pre-shape. And so now that we shape that, we're going to wait basically 20 minutes. Obviously, we also have, during the pre-shape, we also have the oven preheating along with your baking vessel, whether it's a Dutch oven or if you're just going to use your oven, if you're going to place it in there. And if you have a steam oven, I mean, that's awesome. But if not, you want something to capture steam while you're baking your bread. And you can do open oven method, or my preferred method is obviously using a cast iron Dutch oven. But any questions? Did I leave anything out? Oh, the oven, you want to preheat it to 450 degrees. And we're going to let that bake for about 30 minutes and with the lid. And then we'll remove the lid and let it continue to bake for another 20 to 15 minutes, depending on the amount of crust that we want on our bread. So basically, that is roughly it. I mean, there's more notes here that we have, but it's a very straightforward, very beginner, friendly recipe. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm going to be checking out the chat right here, reading what you guys are saying. Cynthia says, I don't bake, so nobody take my advice. Cynthia says, that's so pretty. I believe rice is better with warm. Yes, correct. Let's see. What else do we have? Yeah, and you want to use good ingredients. Don't use any bleached flour. Use unbleached. You don't want anything that's processed or anything of that nature. You want something that's good. Good quality ingredients. That's what I would recommend. Once again, I'm going to ask, can you guys hear me pretty well, or am I still sounding a bit muted? Let me know. Let's see. Rick says, he doesn't weigh when he does biscuits or cornbread or cupcakes or cakes. I have now gotten into that, into that method of just weighing everything. So I weigh almost all my stuff, all my ingredients, especially when it comes to baking. Let's see. Oh yeah, I already read that one. Dehydrating cayenne peppers in the kitchen tonight. It's like the cops broke out of Mace Bomb. Oh my goodness. Honey Badger, that sounds like it's rough. I would probably be coughing up a storm. The other day, it's funny when my sister was making the salsa in the volcanic rock. Everybody, because she was toasting the chilies, everybody was just coughing up a storm. Everybody was just coughing left and right. The kids even went upstairs and they were still coughing and they were all upset. And I was standing next to her, and she started to cough, and I'm like, "What is going on? Like, why are you guys coughing?" And she's like, "You don't smell that?" And I said, "No, I don't actually. I'm sure my senses are shot now, or maybe, all that smoke that I hang out with when I'm working or not working, when I'm grilling outside or using the grill or seasoning cast iron, all that's probably affected me now to the point that I don't smell anything." So everybody was having a coughing attack, and I was right there. Didn't happen to me. I was fine. But that's what that reminds me of. So, Honey Badger, I'm hoping that you got windows open. Bounce Black Cat's Rule says, I measure in cups and always use the flour only as needed. Depending on humidity, you may use less flour. Yes. And yeah, like I said, you don't want to incorporate way too much flour because this is what I did. So here's a little tip here, guys. When you're using flour to dust on the surface or dust on your loaf of bread, when you add too much of that flour and then you start doing, the folds and you start folding it and you start tightening up the surface like we did right now, when the bread bakes and you have way too much of that flour, it never incorporates, as I mentioned. So then when you cut the bread, you see basically, unprocessed or uncooked flour inside the bread. And that's happened to me before. I remember when I first started baking, I would just add a bunch of flour because I didn't want any of that stuff to stick to my hands. And obviously, I didn't know very many techniques. So, I mean, I would have dough all over my hands. It would be a sticky mess, and I would just, put on a bunch of flour. And every time I would cut my bread open, you would see uncooked bits of flour inside the bread. So, obviously, I did some research and, go to find out you shouldn't be using too much. So, just lightly dust. And if you feel like it's starting to stick again, just lightly dust once more. But typically, you don't want to go over, too much. Let's see what else. So that's, I guess, a little tip for you guys. If you guys are going to be trying this, like I said, do your best not to add too much flour. And this is very easy to make. I mean, honestly, I started at I think about 4:30. I mean, obviously, getting everything ready, getting everything prepped, but I basically have not done anything until right at this moment. I mean, I mixed all the ingredients. That was it, and then I just let the dough or the yeast do its thing. And right now, where you guys saw, here doing the shaping or the pre-shaping of the dough, that's basically all I've done. So there is very little work involved. The yeast is usually or basically doing most of the work. And as I mentioned, this is something very easy, very not as time consuming as sourdough. I'll be honest, sourdough is just a whole other thing. And if you guys want me to do a live about that, I can. Or to do a live video on how to get a sourdough starter going, I can do that as well, and give you guys all the tips that I've learned over the years now that I've been doing this on how to start your starter and how to maintain it and how to get it ready to start baking with it. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know, and I can do a live doing a sourdough starter if you guys want to. Let's see. Rumble Hotep says, I've gotten used to making pizza dough. It's easy to switch loaves. Do you use bread flour or all purpose? I am using bread flour, not all purpose. When I do pizzas, if I want to do Neapolitan style, I'll use the Tipo Zero, which is double zero flour. It's very, very light, very soft bread flour. So it isn't going to have much of a crunch. It's going to be super chewy and very, very light. So that's, if you're going to do a Neapolitan, basically that's the flour that you need for that one. But I haven't done Neapolitan in a while, and I still want to do or recreate my Chicago deep dish, even though people don't say it's pizza, it's more of a casserole, and I agree, it still tastes really great. So I'm probably gonna, do a recipe on that one again, more in detail this time. Let's see. I usually get my bread internal temp to 202. Do you check your internal temp as well, Luis? Yes, I do actually. So a lot of people on the sourdough Facebook groups, they recommend that your sourdough bread, reach an internal temp of 210 degrees Fahrenheit. Mine has never reached that. Why? I have no idea. The highest that I've gotten is like 203 or 205. but I've never been able to get my bread to go up to 20, or I'm sorry, 210, um, without it being scorched, basically. So I avoid doing that. So whenever I see a good browning on the surface, that's basically when I call it, like done, and that's when I remove it from the oven. But yes, I do recommend that you probe the bread to ensure that it's fully baked. Also, you don't want to run your oven way too hot, because if you do, the what happens is that the crust forms before the inside can expand and basically cook. So if you're running your oven too hot, then you're going to have issues. There's the dough is going to be gummy. It's going to be very chewy, and it's not going to be, in a sense, fluffy. So make sure that you don't crank the oven up, 500 degrees or 550. I do believe some ovens go maybe to 520, 550, but 450 is a good temp. And then after that, after the first 20 minutes, you do want to remove the lid and drop the temperature. So I would recommend, when we're going to place it in a minute. Right now, I'll show you guys. We're going to drop the temp. Right now it's at 450. I'm going to drop it to 400 and leave it there, and it's going to bake really well. It might take a bit longer, but you get a better result when you cut into the bread. You'll see that the crumb is nicely baked, and you're not really going to have anything scorched. And that's my deal. I don't like everything just completely scorched. If you skip back 10 minutes, you can see how much the bread has grown. Yes. All right, I think we're ready. This has been sitting here for roughly 10 to 15 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and pop it in the oven. So I'm going to bring you guys along with me. That way you guys can see the process of how to place it into the oven. So here we go, guys. Bear with me. Okay. So I believe that this is probably a decent angle right here. And we're going to do our best to go a bit lower so you guys can see here. Let's see, maybe just a tiny bit right there. There we go. Sorry, guys. Okay, there we are. Actually, you guys can't see anything there. I forgot that I haven't put the loaf of bread in there, so I'm going to raise this up just a bit. There we go. And move, I want to say right about there. Okay. Okay, so we have that in there. And I do want to say that you want to ensure that you have proper oven mitts, because this is very, very hot. You don't want to burn yourself. Believe me, I've done it. It doesn't feel great. So we got the Blacklock Dutch oven. It's a 5.5 quart. I recommend a 5 to a 6 quart for this recipe. You want something that's got enough space for the bread to basically, form itself into. Since we didn't place this in a Banneton basket or a basket at all, it is going to basically take form of the Dutch oven. Okay. So there we are. So just so that you guys can see what I'm about to do, I'm going to put you guys there for a minute. We're going to add a bit of flour to this to make it look pretty. Not too much. What we're basically going to do is just rub it on so we can get that nice white surface that you see on artisanal bread. There we go. Now, typically I add steam in the Dutch oven by spraying. I'm not going to do that this time, since I want the design to pop out. Because if I do place a bit of steam, it's going to basically erase the design that I'm trying to achieve here. So what I'm going to do is basically, let's see, I think how was that design? Let's try this. So we're going to score it like this, right there. All right. Something very simple. I mean, it's not awesome. It's not, but I'm hoping that it's going to develop into a nice design once it's baked. So there we go. Now, very carefully, we're going to place it into the Dutch oven. So let me see if I can get a good angle there. Sorry, guys. Move you guys just a bit. Now, the other thing that I do recommend is a wire rack, and we're going to place that in the oven first. Then we're going to place the Dutch oven on top of that wire rack, and that's going to prevent from the bottom from being scorched. Now, what I typically do is ensure that we don't have too much of that parchment paper pressed up against the bread, because it will take form of this parchment paper. And if you want it to be nice and round, you might want to push some of that parchment paper out of the way to the edges. There we are. And like I said, in my other videos that you guys have seen, I usually spray it with a bit of water. We're not going to do that this time. We're just going to cover. That's basically it there. Now we're going to scoot us back and show you guys what I mean by the wire rack. So we're going to place the wire rack right there, and we're going to ensure that we grab both of our gloves and place it in there and let it bake for about 20 minutes. 20 to 25, maybe 25, just to be on the safe side. And we're going to drop the temp. So I had it at 450. We're going to drop it to 400. And here we are. You can see I am doing a convection high bake. That's the setting that I have it on. You can do a low bake, which is just basically just the oven, no fan. And then I do have it set at 400 at the moment. And we're going to let that bake for roughly 25 minutes. Okay. Now we're going to switch over and possibly talk about some Dutch ovens or recipes or whatever you guys would like. Let's see. I have. I was gonna bake today with a different Dutch oven, but I need to give it a good round of seasoning. I haven't used it in some time, and so I feel like the seasoning needs a bit of work. What I was going to use was this Chicago Foundry or CHF, the hardware foundry, Chicago Hardware Foundry Dutch oven. And like I said, I didn't do it because I didn't really feel like it has good seasoning on it. So I opted to use the Black Lock. So there we are. This is a very awesome oven or Dutch oven, and I like this one a lot. It's a good size. The lid is very domed, so it gives you enough space for the bread to expand. So you wouldn't have any issues of the bread coming up and basically getting scorched from the top. Like I said, plenty of room, and as I mentioned, you need something that's about five quart to 5.5 to 6 quart actually. That's what I recommend for this recipe. Now, if you want to cut this down in half, you can, and then use 2 smaller Dutch ovens, and you'll still get 2 great loaves. And basically, you would do that when you're doing the pre-shape on the bench or counter. Let's see. Any questions? Caleb May says, I think that scoring tool is called a lom, right? Yes, that's a bread lom. I have several of them actually. That one's more of my cheaper generic one, but I have several. If you guys are interested to know, you guys can buy these at on Amazon. So this one's one of the first ones that I got. Yes, this is a bread lam, or that's the way I've heard people pronounce it. I'm not sure if it's lam or lame, but basically just a tool that has a very sharp razor on it, and that's about it. But I have some other ones that are also pretty cool, I guess. If you guys want to see those, I can showcase. And these are just tools that I've, as I mentioned, now that I've been baking sourdough, I just acquired over some time. But you can use a very sharp knife if you don't have one of these razors, or even a utility razor works just as well. Anything that has a very sharp edge to it. So here's another one that I own. And I like this one a lot because you have a lot more control of where you're scoring and how you're scoring. This one's probably my favorite one. And as I mentioned, basically the same thing. It's just got that super sharp razor on it. And that's about it. So there's that one there. Came in a very fancy box, a little, well, not fancy, but a little wooden box with it as well, which is pretty nice. And if you guys are interested on the brand, it is a Satoba razor blade or a lam. If you guys are interested in that. And then the other one that I have is also, I have two more, which I'll showcase right now. I have this one here. I like this company a lot. It's Need Ace. Very inexpensive and it's magnetic. And all you got to do is just basically pop it out. You know, and then you can score. Very easy to work with, very easy to maneuver. You can do very intricate designs with these razor blades. So I like that a lot. So anyway, oh, guys, remind me in about 20 or 18 minutes, about 18 minutes, remind me to check the oven because I did not set a timer. Maybe I should. Let's see, where is my, oh, here we are, timer. 18 minutes, oh yeah, oh, okay. I got a timer going, guys. But if you guys still want to let me know, go ahead and do so. And then we also have this one over here. Also pretty awesome design. Very simple, you know. This one just came with a little pouch that you store away. And yeah, these are pretty awesome. So I feel like I always reach to this one just because it's very simple, very easy to use. And as I mentioned, very inexpensive. But when I want to do more intricate designs, I usually go for this one here that has more, I want to say it's easier to maneuver and do more precise cuts on the bread. Let's see, any other questions? Jim F says, Luis, I love the stove. I know you mentioned it when you moved, but who makes it? My oven is dying and I'm an old guy who may as well buy the best like yours. Thanks. Yes, Jim, this is a Forno, which is Forno. It is this one here. I forget the model name, but I bought this one specifically because all the burners are the same. They all have that dual function of simmering. So you can see here, you can do the full, or you can drop it down to just do the center, and you can simmer. And they do have brass burner rings. So there's that, and they all do the same thing. The center, though, I'll be honest, I feel like it's basically the main hub. So I feel like that one has more power to it. But yeah, you can even do wok cooking really easily, which is something that I might consider doing a little bit of wok cooking. And this is the brand here. That's the brand that this stove is. If you guys do recall, I had a different stove. It was a Z-line, and that was a 36-inch, which I'll be honest with you was my favorite. I like this one a lot, especially because I get all the burners are the same, so I get to pick and choose whichever one I want to use. versus my other one, the Z line. That one, I had small, medium, and large burners, and they were all basically different. So the downside to that one or those stoves is that you don't really like if I would have two large pots, uh, basically I had to compensate with one and the other, and then had to wait for it. So what this one does is it allows you to use whichever stove or whichever burner you want to use without having to compromise. So that's the best thing for this one. This I chose this model because, as I mentioned, it has the uh, high output burners, and it also is a dual fuel, which this is electric. So the oven is electric, and the top is gas. So I do like that, and I prefer that over the gas oven. I'll be honest with you guys, I despise gas ovens. I don't know why. I just feel like they don't bake properly. So for me, I had to make sure that if I was choosing a new range, a new stove, it had to be a dual one, which was the electric oven and the gas cooktop. But yes, that's the brand there. And you can see I do have a thermometer in there letting me know the temperature. We are currently holding at 400 degrees, which is what I set it at. So it is doing pretty well. And right up there, you can kind of see the Dutch oven in there. But yes, can you guys see me? Guys, let me know if you guys. Oh shoot! I think the live stream might have glitched. Hoping that it did not. Anyway, yes, I did hiccup. For some reason, I saw that it had kicked me out. Hopefully, it's still going on. Caleb Mace says, "Does that stove is it able to convert to gas and propane?" Yes, it actually comes with the valves for me to switch it out from propane to natural gas. So if I wanted to hook this up to a propane, you can do so. And as I mentioned, it does come with those fittings. It came with several things. The other thing that I like about this gas range is that it came with a wok ring, and it also has the oven has that switch right over there. That switch is for basically either I don't think you can do a turkey, but you can do roasting. So that little switch it comes with a skewer. You can adapt it into the oven, and it has a motor in there where it rotates, and it allows you to roast basically whatever you want to. Obviously, nothing too heavy, but that's a cool function. That's another thing that I haven't used, but something that I liked when I was choosing this. Uh, Aesthetically, it has all these little lights, the LEDs, like that a lot. Kind of a showpiece, I guess. And the other thing that I like about it is that it does come with a wok ring. And as I mentioned, the center here has a higher output. Not sure if it's meant to be that way, but that's what I've noticed. It has a higher output. Let me see if I can. Oh, here it is. Grab this wok ring. And the wok ring fits on any of these burners. So if I want to use it in the corner on this one or that one, wherever I'd like, this wok ring works on any of those. And just for context, I'll show you guys what I mean. Let me go grab my wok. Mm. So I have this really large wok. I've used it many times for stir fry, but you can see there it fits really well. And it's not, teetering like you would. Actually, it wouldn't teeter on this one either. But this one here has more support, and it gives you the ability to cook a bit better or easy, gives you ease of use. So I do like that. And just, I guess so you guys can see, we'll kick it on. Let's see. Use this one. Come on. There we go. So very high output. And I like that a lot. So. But I haven't used it yet. I still have, yet to use it. But pretty cool features that I think are worth the money. I got this on sale for $2,500. So if you guys are lucky to find another one or another sale, I would jump on it. So far it's been working great, no issues, and I like it. That is one of the things that I told my wife that moving into this home, they gave us appliances, but I didn't like because they were very generic, very basic. And I said, one of the things that I need is a good stove. And she said, okay, well, that's fine. And I invested good money onto the stove. Let's see. Cynthia says, oh my guys, you guys leave no stone unturned. Who in the walk would have thought of looking for that feature? Yes. Walk the walk and talk the talk. Cynthia, worth every dime. Yeah. Actually, now that we're just kind of, right now that I just brought this wok out, how about we see if we can fry some eggs in this wok? Just for S and giggles. So let's give that a go. The other thing that I wanted for my house, or for my home, was that to ensure that we're going to have a outdoor vent to or what do you call it, a range hood vent that vented outside instead of inside the house. Especially with gas, I feel like it's almost necessary to have a vent that goes outside and not stays inside. There's a lot of homes here where I'm at that don't do that, and I want to say that's to me it feels like you're just basically filtering the stink and the grease back into your home anyway. So basically, having the hood range, or the hood range feature is basically redundant. It's not, doesn't really do anything. Even with the charcoal filters, I mean, I don't know how well they work, but I highly doubt that they're going to remove any of those contaminants from the gas basically being burnt in your home and whatever you're cooking. Let's see. I do want to see how how well this works. So now that we have it here, bear with me, guys. I'm going to turn on my hood range. It's a bit loud. And we're going to crank this guy up. Val's Black Cats Rule says, I live in such a leaky tiki that no fumes would stay in the house. Oh my. Okay, so this will technically be the first time that I use the wok inside. I haven't used this one or this feature here. What I'm going to do is just let this heat up, and man, that's heating up fast. So we're going to grab a bit of ghee, and we're going to see if this works. So bear with me, guys. All right, so I got a very, very cold egg, and we're going to see how the egg works here. Obviously, right now it's preheating. We're going to add a bit of ghee. about that much of ghee. And it's already starting to smoke. So yeah, that is very, very hot. I would say turn this down or off. That is very, very smoky. As you can see, that got very, very hot very quickly. And just so that I don't look like a novice, we're gonna let that cool down because I know for a fact that if I was to put the egg in there right now, that is going to basically get stuck and fuse to the wok. So we're gonna give it a minute. And while we let that cool down just a bit, I do believe it's time. Nope, we still got 4 minutes. Okay, so what I've seen, cooks, how they do it is that they let that possibly, I mean, that is hot. Okay, we're gonna give it a go and let's see what happens. Full blast. Let's see what happens. Everybody wish me luck. Keep your fingers crossed. I mean, it's moving. So I guess, yeah, I would say successful. Can I flip it? Probably not, without making a huge mess. Oh, there we are. I would say not too shabby. You know what, guys? It's not really stuck either. I mean, that's lifting away fairly easy. See there? Not stuck at all. Huh, that worked really well. Maybe I should use this more often. Like I said, I haven't done this. This was the first time, guys. I know, right? Egg sandwich. So yeah, there we have it, guys. I would say pretty successful. You know what? Maybe I'll do the something similar to Cast Iron Chaos and do a wok, not Wok Wednesday, but something similar. I'll do some wok cooking. All right, we are going to remove the egg and put it on a plate so I can eat that later. That way we can do a little bit of a toast. And there we are, guys. Simple, easy, fast. And there's the egg. Not bad. All right. I think we're going to shut this off because this is very loud. I feel like I can't hear anything. All right. And we're just going to move this little guy, or that guy, little guy. That's a big old wok. I think I want a smaller wok. This one, that one's I think 14, 14, 14 inches, I believe. So it's a pretty big wok. But anyway, it is time I believe. Yes, it is actually. It is time to remove the lid from the bread. All right. I'm going to lower you guys just a bit once again. And there we go. Okay. Now let's cross our fingers and hope that it turned out. I don't know if it did. So here we go. Oh, okay. Not bad at all. Looking pretty decent, I'd like to say. The design remained intact. And what we're going to do now is just brown it and let it finish cooking. So we're going to put that back in there and let it finish baking. So we're most likely going to let it go for another 20 minutes. I do believe that I'm probably going to cut the live short at the moment, but I will upload a video of what it looks like tonight. So if there's anything that you guys want to know, if you guys want to talk about or mention for tonight's live, let me know right now. So before we end the live stream. That got very hot. I can't believe I can feel the heat emanating from that wok. Let's see. Actually, no, that was the oven. That was me opening the door to that oven. It is very hot right now. Slide. Yes. I love the show tonight. So much fun and good info. Thank you, Jim F. I appreciate the kind words. While cooking, great idea. Yep. Jimmy Langford said coming up on that timer minute. Yes. Thank you, Jimmy. Val's Black Cat's Rule says a little toast, lettuce, and avocado. You are 100% correct. That'll make a great sandwich right after I finish baking this bread. Val's Black Cat's Rule says thank you for the bread demo. No problem. Let's see. Waiting on the Oxen Forge this weekend. What's the Oxen Forge? I don't know. I know what that is. I don't believe I know what that is. Cynthia says, I'm speechless. I can't get over this fancy stove. Bougie at its best. A great guy with it. Yeah, it is bougie for sure. I'll admit that. But I'll tell you what, guys. I'm not a big guy on splurging on anything. And if I do splurge on something, it better be something that's going to be not only useful to me, but to my family. So when it came to buying this stove, I saw it more as an investment for the family, as something that we need for the family. So I didn't feel bad. Now, if you ask me about material items, I would say that I do fairly well on not splurging too much on, like, I don't have a very nice truck. My truck is still it's a 2005 Chevy pickup, 4 door. That's all I need. 4x4. I mean, and it still has low mileage. We're looking at 110 miles on it, and that's it being a 2005 Chevy. So it still works great, no issues. It's got the bells and whistles. Obviously, it doesn't have all the infotainment and modern stuff, but I don't need it. I'm fine with that. I got my phone to if I need to contact anybody, I got my phone there. My wife, she has basically a brand new car, and she gets her upgrades. I want to say every so often, right? So she splurges on that just for other reasons. It's mostly for work, but for me, like I said, I try my best not to splurge on nonsense, and I feel like this was a worthwhile investment. Bougie is as can be. Yes, I agree. Very, very bougie as can be. But overall, I think it's a great a great tool to have for your home. So anyway, with that being said, as I mentioned, the live stream is basically running a bit longer than what I anticipated, and I wish that I would have some bread for me to show you guys, but that will have to be in a short, or yeah, I want to say a short video. I'll post that tonight because I still have to let it basically cool down or finish baking once it's out of the oven for at least 30 to 1 hour. before cutting into it. So I most likely won't upload anything tonight until maybe 9 o'clock at night. And so look forward to the bread short video tonight. Other than that, I'm hoping that that small tutorial on how to do pre-shaping, uh, was helpful tonight. If there's any questions, and as always, guys, I'm here to share info. Let me know, shoot me messages. If you guys want to contact me directly, like DMs, you guys can find me on Instagram. Same handle, Luis J Cast Iron Cooking. So if you guys want any kind of, or if you guys have any kind of question, or you guys are looking for specific information, let me know, and I am more than happy to reach out and do my best to help. But with that being said, the last thing that I also wanted to do actually was showcase, but I think I'll do that for another night. I wanted to showcase the limited edition Lancaster number 4 skillets, the ones without the helper tab. I wanted to show those off, and then also we're going to talk more cast iron cookware in the near future. So look forward to those in future lives. We're going to do a bit more carbon steel cooking. But other than that, guys, I think we're basically done. Corey Clark says I had a 2005 GMC with 500,000 miles on it. Wow, sold it and it's still going. That is amazing. You know what, guys? I'll tell you what. If you take care of your vehicle, just give it, routine maintenance, they will last you a lifetime. And as long as you don't abuse it too much, I'm telling you that these cars, they will last. Jim F says, as long as the truck runs, it's perfect. Heck, I have a 97 Blazer that still runs fine. Yep, that's what I mean. I don't need, because my wife says this is basically, your Corvette. This is basically your car. I mean, granted, I wish I could have the top of the line, stove. This is, I mean, it's not cheap, but it's also not, top of the line. There are more expensive stoves and better known names out there, but I want to say that I'm very grateful to be able to have this in my home and to be able to use it to make meals for my family. So either way, it's a win for me. Corey Clark said, Fords, don't just GM. Yeah. My brother has a 68 Ford. That thing runs really great. I love his truck. All right. So with that being said, guys, I will catch you guys on the next live. And as always, I'll be posting shorts here and there and uploading videos as well. I'll be sharing some information and look forward to. I don't know if you guys saw the news today, but Lodge did announce new enameled cookware made here in the USA. I'll be showcasing that. Since I am a moderator and I, work for Lodge Cast Iron in a sense, they pay me with cookware. So they did offer me some cookware, and they're shipping that my way. And we'll be doing a review on that. So look forward to those. I'll be showcasing that on the channel possibly next week. But with that being said, everybody stay safe. Have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you guys next Thursday. Bye, guys.